This is a project where we believe that tattoos can heal.
We turn trauma into empowerment.
Welcome to
Inktentions.
Hi, my name is Bunny and I am from New York City, born and raised. I was a bit older when I got pregnant. I was 39 years old and it was basically now or never. I had a great pregnancy, and then during childbirth I actually had a carotid artery aneurysm. So that was pretty traumatic during childbirth, and they had to take him from me through C-section and then rush me to the ICU, where I was for 2 weeks while he, just having a baby. So that was difficult. Thank God I had family and friends that helped out at that time, and I got better and got home to my son. Everything was great. I had a great career and had, a great apartment and my great life, and now this great child. And everything was going well until I started to see signs that he wasn't hitting his milestones, that he wasn't walking, when he should be walking, that he wasn't making the certain sounds that he should make at the certain times he should make them. And every parent knows, or I know, when I look at the book, which is what your baby should be doing at what time, that he wasn't there. And of course, I'm thinking that it's nothing and he's just a little late. But I started to realize that every milestone got later and later, and I started to worry about, so I went to all sorts of specialists about that, and he had therapy 6 days a week, hours a day. It was pretty grueling, and it was tough for him. By the time they go to school, you have to be evaluated again, because then you get your services in the school setting. And so we had to go through that I had to go through that process, and Chaz as well. Chaz is my son. And that's another grueling process. So that's the second time around where you have to go through all these tests. It's a neuropsych and all these tests and people asking you questions and poking and prodding at you. And so as a parent, you're always fighting, you're always advocating, you're always asking for more. That is a very tough fight. It's very challenging, and you've got to be really pushy, and you've got to be really strong. When the child goes to kindergarten, you have to go through the whole process again. Finally, he was diagnosed, as having autism, as having severe ADHD, as having this eating disorder called ARFID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, which is basically a fear of eating. It's a phobia. So going to transitioning to a school, kindergarten, full-time was really difficult for him, and that's when that separation, really hits hard between me and him, because it was only me and him. It's always been me and him. I told him that I will always be here, and you just have to ask for me, and Mom will always come. I will always come. And some days it was every day there I would have to go, and some days it was constant calls from the school telling me not to come, that he had to get through the day, and so that's hard, because you don't want to break that promise. So I would go and at least tell him I was there, but tell him that I would stay for 5 minutes, and then I would have to leave. And here I'm crying and begging for me not to go.
I think he is magic. I think you are magic. You guys are all magic, you're right. Who posed like that? Somebody who's full of magic. Somebody.
I'm like, you couldn't make that pose up if you tried.
Yeah.
Well, he was 8, so I had him at 39. And sometimes when you have a child with special needs, like I do, and they can't communicate properly and express themselves or control their emotions, you're not sure what people are doing to them, because they can't tell you. I don't want him to see me upset, so that's another thing. I take care of him with this strong face, and I can do it, and you can do it, and we're going to do it together. And then go in my bathroom or bedroom and cry my eyes out, and think about what does he have a future? What's going to happen to him? Some days he just can't take the bullying. So I have to stop everything I'm doing and go and get him. And I have to walk in with that face that's you're the best and they're all wrong and you're amazing. And inside I'm thinking, how is he going to get through this? And how am I going to get through this? And it starts to really weigh on you. And I know it's weighing on him. I can see it. I can see the sadness. I can see, he doesn't get invited to the parties. He doesn't get invited to a friend's house. He doesn't get invited to any play dates. And it's the worst part of my world is seeing my son be isolated. In the same time period, he was going on social media. He doesn't have a relationship with his father at all. His father doesn't want to be a part of his life, but his father has a family and a daughter that's a year younger than my son. And my son found her on social media and reached out to her, saying, "Oh my God, I've heard so much about you, and I'm your brother, and I'm so happy to meet you." And he was so thrilled in that moment to find her, only to get a message back from her saying, "I don't know who you are, and you don't exist, and I don't know anything about you." And that devastated him. So I tried to reach out. I don't have communication with his father, but I emailed him and said, this is not cool that this is happening, and you need to tell her that she has a brother, because his feelings are really hurt, and he's already in a very, very bad situation. So can you please talk to her? And they said that they would. He's married, and so a few weeks later, he reached out to her again, and she said, "My mom and dad said to ignore you, that you don't exist, and that you're a liar."
I have those. I have it all.
I had to keep it together for the time that he was awake and around. The only time I could let myself out was when he was asleep. And we were together all the time because we were isolated, obviously, with COVID. So it was probably the most difficult time of my life when it comes to him, and seeing him like that. I finally found a school that was close to where we live, that he was able to have access to and be admitted to. But again, then we came to the part where I have to pay. The tuitions are outrageous. They're more than college tuitions. And you have to put that money up front, and then you have to sue the Department of Education to get that money back. I'm a single mom. I'm not working. COVID hit, and I was freelancing, and so it was just a mess. But I didn't have a choice, because for me, again, it was between my son's life or death. So I finally got him into the high school, and the first day he showed up, he said, "I'm with my people. I am the happiest I've ever been," and he's never missed one day since then. So I felt like he finally got to a good place, and he was settled. They treat him really well there, and he's happy. He's got people like him. He's not alone anymore. And I was so happy for him. And then, use a physical analogy, it's just like, okay, he's at the finish line, and now I just dropped. And I wasn't able to, it's very hard to get back up. I got withdrawn, I got depressed. I think it all hit me at once. Like all of the years of, being that cheerleader, and then I lost myself. In the best of circumstances, it's very hard to find mental health care. It was impossible to find someone. I tried everywhere. I tried clinics, I tried Bellevue. I tried every place that I could possibly try, and there was no availability. And then I was told, well, we can send you to a peer group, but I already had a peer group. So that wasn't what I was looking for. I needed real help. And a friend of mine said, do something that you like. What do you like? And I said, well, that I love Queen, the band, and I love Freddie Mercury. I've had a Freddie Mercury obsession for a long time. Yeah. And this, look, I wanted to show you this version of Vogue from '84.
Wow.
I know, right? Look at those features. He became my therapist. That's basically what happened, is that watching him on YouTube and reading about him and listening to his interviews and enveloping myself with him made me feel better. Not just because his music is so great, but because he's so great and he's so inspirational, and the legacy he left is just goes on and on. There's so much of it to see, to watch, to hear, that I'm still learning. And I've been a fan of his since I've seen them in 1980 and '82. And so Fortunato would like this. This is Argentina. Because he never was negative. He wasn't a negative person. He always thought positively. Even when he was very ill, he said, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to move on. I want to make music. I want to enjoy every day as if it was my last. And that was his philosophy. And good words, good deeds, good thoughts, that was his religion. And he lived that way. And so it made me feel better every day to get up and to have him as my life coach. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you got to look at him a lot. So parents of children with special needs, 1 out of 5 have PTSD. And that's what I was experiencing, and I'm still working through it. It's not over yet, but Queen and Freddie have helped me 1,000%, 1,000,000%, and I'm honored to have him put on my body by the Ink Angels at Inked, and get a tattoo of him today, so I could look at him every single day, like I already do, but that he'd be with me forever.
We chose Bonnie because of her incredible story of strength.
She has a beautiful energy and a beautiful soul.
We fell in love with how much power she has inside of her, and with the love that she projects to her son and everybody who crosses her life.
This tattoo means so much to me. It represents a lot of what I've been through, how I got through what I went through. And now it represents, when I look at my arm, it shows me how resilient I am, how much I can overcome, and how Freddie inspired me to get through those times. And the tattoo also is so beautiful and vibrant, that represents, it makes me feel beautiful and vibrant. And that's something I haven't felt for a long time. And so that means the world to me.
Thanks, Bonnie, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would have to say love. I mean, love for my son, love for his amazing life and his energy, and a deep, visceral love for, unconditional love for who he is as a person. And then, from this journey, I've learned to love myself again. And you've given me that, and that is something that I don't think I could ever repay.